Hello again. Okay, so we are continuing to move through a few more standing asanas before we start to take the practice more down on the mat. So within the general sequence of asana that we are teaching here in Satyaloka, we have now three standing asanas to choose from. And maybe you're thinking, okay, why do they kind of come in this particular moment? So if you remember from the Tantra sequencing, the initial standing asanas are really something that builds up the fire in the body from this strong connection to the earth, from this lifting up of fire through the legs. The legs are so connected to the abdominal area and so really invigorate this fire. Also, you're free to practice a subtle ujjayi breath as well in these more dynamic standing asanas. And then, of course, there are some other standing asanas maybe that you like to do in your own practice. We already have Prasarita Padottanasana here that we have within our sequence. But there are also many other standing asanas. So usually we would put them in between now. And then we come to the standing balance asanas. Now with the balance asanas, the standing, there is a general theme that these asanas, any asana actually that you are balancing, creates a subtle effect in Agna Chakra. And you can see this. The more you are focused, the more you are really present, the most you are like in your center, you'll be able to keep the balance of your asanas a lot better than if your mind is all over the place or somehow you're just not feeling very centered or strong in yourself in that day. And the balance asanas can really reflect this. Now the other thing that's very key in the balance asanas is generally these asanas are balance asanas because they are balancing on one leg. So as a result of that, we can work more poignantly on one side of the body as we make one part of the asana. And then when we change sides, we are then working on the other side. So normally it is the left side that we activate first and then the right side. I'm pretty sure you've got used to this pattern now. And I'm wondering if you can remember what that pattern is. It's that when we are working on the left side of the body and activating that side, it allows for to be able to receive like a receptivity of the energies. And then on the right side, it's where we can then engage that Shakti. We can engage the prana. We can kind of put it to use somehow. So ultimately, once we've done the left side, once we've done the right side, then through that balancing of the lunar and solar, there is always a subtle effect here in the third eye as well. So this can have some connection through that happening while we practice. Now, quite honestly, in another system of yoga, a little bit more in the Kriyas and the kind of, we could say, traditional way of practicing in another sense, when we are using these particular standing asanas, a lot of them are actually working on the root energy, on Muladhara chakra. But when we practice here, what I want us to do is use these asanas as I was originally taught, to just try to lift up the energy more to the third eye. Of course, the more you can press and hold and push into the lower part of the body, or, you know, taking the heel into the perineum and pushing that heel into the perineum, or even in Garudasana, by coming into the pose and really squeezing in to this part, you can really feel a pulling here. So it definitely draws energy. Now, another key factor of moving that energy is, number one, the application of the bandhas, like activating the subtle bandhas to lift up the energy. But number two, the drishti point. This is a moment now where in the asana, the drishti point becomes really important. Because if we fix our, I mean, I don't know if you know, but if you're doing balance asanas, it is virtually impossible for most people to close their eyes. Yeah? If you close your eyes, most people do not have that coordination and we lose the balance. So we need to fix our eyes on a certain point. Now this is key, potentially, on where the energy accumulates. If we are looking down towards the floor, or even the nose, but generally we are guided to look on the floor in many different styles of yoga. This actually, as you may already be guessing, cultivates more of an earth energy, okay? It connects us with the Prithvi Tattva, the earth element. Now, if we now raise our drishti point and focus on a spot ahead of us at the level of Ajna Chakra, and we have this fixed gaze, it is the strong gaze of drishti, where we become completely absorbed in that point. And this obviously is controlling for the mind, it steadies the mind. Then through that drishti point at this level, the energy becomes more at this point, it becomes more elevated to this point. So these are key aspects that allow for us to play a little bit with the energy. Saying that predominantly for us, when we are in these standing asanas, we're working on the lunar, on the solar, we're holding the drishti head at the level of Ajna Chakra, and in and amongst all of that, we are guiding the energy up, keeping that integrity in the body, and focusing on the gaze and the energy accumulating here. Okay, so let's have a look at some of these asanas. Of course, you can apply this to other standing asanas generally. So one very common one that we can practice, and we always start with Vrikshasana, the tree pose, standing on the left leg. And then we can take that right leg up, and yes, just lifting that heel into the perineum. Now, not everybody can do this, so of course you can just take that leg down. I mean, some people might want to go here, but you have to be careful not to push into the knee, otherwise it can be compromising for the knee. This can also be a point of balance for some people, and if it's really difficult, then you can just hold like this in the beginning, okay? Obviously take a good foundation in your feet, lifting up through the body, feel that spaciousness all the way up through the spine. Using the bandhas here is critical. You have to find that integrity in your body to hold yourself during the balance pose. So we're lifting up into Vrikshasana, taking the foot in place. Now we generally start with the hands here. Now immediately I look ahead and I fix my gaze. And really don't forget that, just drawing up through the leg, feeling the foundation of the points of the foot on the ground. And then that subtle engagement up through the pelvic area, through the abdominal area, lengthening up through the spine. Breathing, fixing the gaze ahead. And you can even play with this a little bit. Once you have you or your students steady in this pose, you can inhale and exhale and open up. You can keep the hands above you in Anjali Mudra, or you can even open up the arms. I really like this version actually, where the arms are extended up. You can guide your students to feel the embodiment of a tree anchoring down through the leg, like the trunk of a tree, feeling that steadiness up through the core of the body, through the trunk, and then extending the arms out like the branches of a tree. The breath is steady. Keep mind steady and keep the drishti ahead. Obviously relaxing the shoulders so you don't over have tension in that area. And then when you need to come out, you can come back in the same way. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Draw yourself down. And in the afterglow, you feel the energy here. Of course, there may be movements of energy that you feel through the body, and in that moment, you're welcome to invite yourself or your students to feel the afterglow through the body, checking in. Especially what can happen is a strong surge of prana can be particularly felt in the left side of the body because you've been holding your whole weight intensified on the left side for that period of time. So you can guide yourself, your students, to feel that emphasis more on the left side of the body, and then of course that happens on the right. And I can already feel this now. You know, I feel complete charge, my hands, my whole body, and even though I don't need to do the right side now to demonstrate to you, you know, there's a little part of me just wants to kind of balance that out so that I can, just feel that balance. And this is why it's very good to ensure also that you have equal amounts of time on both sides. Okay, I don't need to stay up too long. I just really felt in my body that I had to do that. And then feel that overall balance of awareness here. And what I am going to do, I've already decided, is once I've been through these asanas, when we get to the end of this, I'm going to spend a little bit of time giving you some coaching cues and things like this for you to be able to feel what you would really like to say. I mean, I'm trying to do this as we're going along, but maybe somehow I overlook some aspects as I'm speaking. So definitely I will give a little bit of time in one of these recorded sessions to share that with you. Obviously as a general overview of the asanas. And then just to remind us at the very end as well, whenever this module is being offered, there will be intervals through the year where I will do a live Q&A to answer any questions that come up from this. But of course, you are welcome to reach out and ask anything if something's not clear anyway. Okay, so the tree pose, another nice little point that I can actually show you. Sometimes we can also integrate certain hand mudras, and there's a couple in the tree pose that I really like, well, in the standing asanas. And one of them is we start with Anjali mudra like this, and then you can actually show your students beforehand, because if you show them after, they're going to be so concentrated on balance, they might not be able to effectively hold the asana and then look at what you're showing now. So before you start the class, start the asana, you can guide like this. You can say to everybody, in a moment when I tell you, you're going to open your hands into Padma Mudra. So this is where the pinky finger and the thumb are pressed more together with the wrists, and the fingers are extended out like the flowers of petals of a lotus flower. Padma Mudra. And then while you're holding the pose, then you can inhale and even extend the arms up above the body. And sometimes I really like to have kind of a meditative, inspiring guidance when I do this, you know, kind of feeling inhale, exhale, open the heart, open the flower, the lotus of the heart. Inhale, exhale, offer your heart to your highest purpose, to the divine consciousness. Whatever you feel you would like to say. So you can use this Maybe there are some other hand mudras, but I feel, well, basically as I become more and more uh, practiced in Tantra, I start to understand even more and more the seriousness of these mudras. So I would generally keep them quite simple, yeah? Because actually the practice of mudra is a very advanced practice. So just keep it simple if you start to be inspired to integrate this, okay? Good. Now let's move to the next one. In fact, I can also tell you a little easy mudra in this. Garudasana. So in Garudasana, I already half showed the pose before. It's the same principle. We stand on the left leg. So it's the left energizing of the body first. And remember, the cues are that when we start activate the left side, we activate that receptive feminine lunar side of the body. And then we take the right leg around and we are obviously pulling in and linking the legs together. Okay, and then from here, I usually guide by putting the arms under. Now this is an interesting one because I see many variations. Some people really lean forward, some people just look like a stick. But ideally, when we come in, we keep the body engaged and upright, but we can also sink down into the legs. And this really gives a very strong hold in the body. It really works the legs. It can actually bring quite a little bit of fire coming up. But again, we have to use the bandhas to hold the body in place and to feel that integrity as we lift up. And this is going to lift the energy, lift that fire, we could say, up into the third eye. Now what I want to show you here, this was the arm gesture. And when we start, a lot of people practice with the arms up here. And I like to initiate sometimes with the arms up, but at a certain point when we are holding for longer periods of time, we bring the arms down and have the fingers fixed at the eye level, looking over the fingers and again gazing at that drishti to activate Agna Chakra. So, you know, you can keep the arms up like this. This definitely gives a beautiful stretch and opening in the shoulders. But bringing the arms down in this way also really gives that ability to fix your eyes ahead on a drishti point at the level of the third eye so that the energy is going there. Now what if you can't, or your students can't make this gesture with the hands? Sometimes I like to offer and incorporate a mudra. In fact, there's a couple called Vishnu. This relates to Vishnu actually, but it's called Garuda Mudra. And it's a holding of the hand in this way. Now what this does, it symbolizes actually, or it invokes the energy of Garuda. If you know, Garuda is the mystical bird that transports Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu is the preserving energy of the universe. So Garuda is a very special mystical creature that has a great role in the preservation of the universe. So you can hold this mudra up in front of your chest in this way. Okay, coming in. And so as you can sense here now, obviously there was working on the right side. Of course I didn't work the whole kind of upper part of my torso quite the same way, but this can certainly help people in the beginning who are needing to kind of take a more varied posture. It's also really good to give as an option of people that may have shoulder injuries or a lot of tightness there, in some joints, or within the shoulder area. And it also looks quite sweet. And obviously the deeper meaning of Garuda Mudra connects us to something very profound. So like I have said quite a number of things for Vrikshasana in terms of the lunar and solar energy and bringing the prana here to the third eye. The same also goes for Garudasana. They're very similar in terms of the energy that can be created. So the last standing asana now is Natarajasana. Now this changes things a little bit, so I'm going to explain. Now with Natarajasana, rather than starting on the right foot, on the left foot, we start on the right foot. And there's a reason for that, because actually, even though we're creating a very strong kind of force of energy by activating the right side of the body in the posture, actually because we are coming in to the posture and we are holding a very strong hold there in the left side of our body, this hold in the left side of the body creates a really strong activation here, not necessarily here. It really outweighs the energizing, and you can feel it in your own body. So here we're not only just focusing here on the third eye, because of this strong pull in the body and the energy that's needed to hold the body in this is actually very akin to the abdominal area. You certainly need to lift up through the bandhas here and hold very strong in the upper body as well. So it's not just about the leg, it's really that force that brings the energy here in the abdominal area. And of course there can be also a kind of expansion or opening here, but it's predominantly here that you will feel it. I always say something, because sometimes people say, yes, but I feel it in the heart, or I feel it here. Ultimately, it's what energy is going to be created the more we stay in that asana. So if I was to hold Natarajasana for a long period of time, then there would definitely be an effect here, because I would be really sustaining balance for a long time, as well as that effect in the lunar and solar. But it's such a strong asana, I would need a lot of core strength, so for sure I would start sweating. I'm already having a little heat from this, you know, so it is very much the effect on a long term, not just the initial feeling, I feel my heart open here. No, it's how will it be if we kept this asana for a longer time? And you can apply this principle as well to all the other asanas, okay? So here, so you can guide afterwards yourself, your students, into feeling the fire, the increase of the Agni Tattva, the fire element in the body, and guiding exactly what that could feel like. It can literally be heat sensation, a feeling of dynamism, enthusiasm, like an influx of willpower and determination, and like a confident overall attitude towards life, towards the practice, towards life. And then of course transmuting that as it continues into this one-pointed awareness at the level of Ajna Chakra. So I think you understood this, but just to emphasize, we stand on the right leg first to first open the left side, and then of course we then come up into the position opening the right side. And the drishti point again is the same. It's looking ahead at the level of the third eye or in the direction of the arm. And then ultimately after these asanas, you're just really allowing that strong energizing from the left side, from the right side, to come into that neutrality. And it really does lift the fire, the heat, fire, and all of these qualities to be brought into this one-pointed focus of mind. So that when we drop down onto the seated asanas, which we're going to come to next, you can hopefully go deeper into your practice, because the mind, a lot of this rajasic energy from that we can bring to our practice has been met, we could say, through the sun salutation, through the standing asanas. It's like we've kind of worked this energy somehow, we've utilized it, and especially when we can bring it up, you know, because as soon as this is balanced and energized, we become more concentrated, more one-pointed, more of that internal insight can be revealed to us from within, so that we go deeper in our practice. Okay, very good. Thank you.